I thought I'd do a quick weekly update since it has been a while because I've been very naughty and I wanted to do separate book talks for each of these books, but of course now it's been too long and I don't quite remember. So I have finished two things since the last time we spoke. The first one is The Dinner by Herman Koch, I assume is the pronunciation, and this is translated by Sam Garrett. I absolutely loved this book. I forget if I gave it a 4 or a 5. It's like a 4.5 for me. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy I finally read this. So I think I picked this up because it's for the Around the World in 52 Books challenge to read a book that's turning into a movie this year. And this is theoretically turning into a movie this year. I haven't checked in on that at all, so I'm not really sure. But basically, in this story, we're following two couples. The men are brothers, and their kids have done something quite terrible. Not quite terrible. Horrendous. Their kids have done something absolutely horrendous. But so this is kind of like in the aftermath, and they're trying to discuss like what to do, etc. And oh my gosh, yeah, it's such a good read. I love books that have narrators that I either don't trust or whatever. I feel like the narrator, it's told in first person, and it's during the dinner, but there are some like flashbacks to things that have happened prior to help you give context, I guess, to like what's going on. And the I just don't know what to believe when the narrator's talking. He's saying things like talking about his wife and how like she'll give him some kind of a look and he'll know what that means. But then at the same time, I'm like, I mean, is that really what's happening right now? Are you just kind of fabricating that because of the type of person that you are? And I don't. It was such a fun read. I feel like fun is kind of a messed up word to use for this book because some terrible things happen. But the feeling of this reminded me a lot of Geek Love. Totally different plot, but I feel like the characters are kind of similar and that they're terrible, but they love each other and like family dynamics and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I thought this was an absolute joy. I wish I had done a book talk on it like right as soon as I finished reading it because I feel like I had a lot more to say about it, but I just don't remember, unfortunately. And then the next one that I have is Fear and Trembling by Amelie Nothomb. Nothomb? I'm not sure. And this one is translated by Adriana Hunter. And I think Dee Dee from Brown Girl Reading recommended this to me on my video where I asked for translated works. And this one was also just hilarious. We're following a woman named Amelie who is working, I believe, in Japan at a Japanese company, and she's from Belgium. And so it's like Western versus Eastern, like things, I guess. But she is hired and she's like at the lowest. She starts off with like saying like, "Oh, this is my superior, my superior, superior, my superior, superior," and so it talks about all this kind of stuff, and they basically like mistreat her, kind of. They make her do things like the one of the first things is her boss's boss asks her to photocopy this like 1,000-page document, and he says, "Oh, it's not straight, you have to photocopy it again. Oh, it's not straight, are you doing it by hand?" And so she was like just feeding it into the automatic paper tray, and he's like, "Oh no, you need to do each page individually by hand." And I don't know, like it just cracked me up. I thought this was just so funny too. And it reminds me a lot too because like a lot of it has to do with the narrator's attitude and like she's, she finds it funny. I mean, she doesn't. I don't know if she finds it funny, but just the way that she um, like addresses these people and how she's responding to them, it just cracks me up because it reminds me of how I was in high school. When I was in high school, I was made fun of so much, but I would just like kind of laugh and shrug it off and be like, "Yep, whatever." Because I feel like people who like torment others, like what they get kicks out of is your response to things, and so I would always like laugh it off or be whatever and have it literally just it did not bother me. And so I feel like she kind of has a little bit of that attitude, and so it makes it a really really funny read. And hopefully Jake's not going to be too loud. And so I am currently in the middle of a couple of things still. I'm still in the middle of The House of the Spirits by Isabel Allende. I would like to get back to reading this because it is quite good. It's translated by Magda Bogan, and I'm on page 100. I'm about to start chapter 4, so maybe I'll read chapter 4 tonight, but I need to cook dinner, so we'll see. And then I started reading Underground by Haruki Murakami, and this one is translated by Alfred Birnbaum and Philip Gabriel. And this is a true, I don't know if true account, but it's basically in the aftermath of there's a sarin gas attack by a religious cult called Om Shinrikyo in 1995. And the attack was on the subway system in Japan, or in Tokyo, I believe. And so he basically found survivors of that attack, and it's just like their story of what happened. So it's broken up into the different subway systems and the different lines. Or I guess not the different subway systems because it's one subway system, but the different lines, and so different people that were on that line and what happened to them. So I just barely started this. I'm at the very beginning. I'm on page 23, and yeah, I'm very interested in this. I think this is super interesting. If you're not a Murakami fan, I would still give this a shot if you're into nonfiction and like how horrible people can be, because it's fascinating. I know some people have issues with him. Val. But since this is like a nonfiction book just about what happened, I don't think that you would have those same issues. So yeah, these are the two books that hopefully I'll finish by the end of the weekend. I'm not holding my breath because they're both, a little chunky. But anyways, let me know if you're reading anything good. Talk to you guys later.